Anakin's mastery of the Force and prodigious talent made him the face of the Republic in the Clone Wars. He thrived amidst the chaos as his powers continued to grow to the point that by the beginning of Revenge of the Sith, he was more powerful than even many of the Jedi Masters. However, beneath this veneer of triumph was a man in deep inner turmoil. Time and time again, he showed a propensity for breaking and bending the rules.
Disobeying the Council, your expertise is.
And mind you, all of this was happening while he was having a secret love affair with Padme Amidala. What's most concerning, however, is that Anakin's journey throughout the Clone Wars is marked by his gradual descent towards the dark side. Anakin relied greatly on his passion for his strength. It's what made him special. He wasn't afraid to take a life, and he wasn't afraid to use the dark side to get what he wanted. In a life where everybody was telling him to go against his instincts,
be mindful of your thoughts, Anakin, they betray you.
Palpatine was the only one who told him to trust them.
In time, you will learn to trust your feelings. Then you will be invincible.
But again, the Clone Wars served as an opportunity for both Anakin and us to see just how corrupt the Senate and the Republic had become. Dooku, Qui-Gon, and even Duchess Satine had all pointed out the exact same things. The only difference between them, in my opinion, is how they responded to it. But perhaps one of the biggest tipping points in Anakin's life was when Ahsoka Tano left the Jedi Order. Ahsoka leaving laid bare all of the crumbling facades of the Republic's democratic ideals as Anakin was further pushed towards the brink of darkness. Ahsoka's departure wounded Anakin, and it was a wound that never fully healed and followed him for the rest of his life.
You can't take responsibility for Ahsoka's decision, Anakin.
How would you feel if I turned into a major disappointment?
It's not the same.
It's precisely the same. You took me under your wing and practically raised me. I'm your Padawan, just like Ahsoka was mine. How well would you sleep knowing I failed you?
Not very well, I imagine. Luckily, that isn't true, and never will be.
And then we get to Revenge of the Sith, the defining moment of Anakin Skywalker's character arc. Anakin, as the Chosen One, possessed potentially limitless power, the power to bend the very fabric of time and space itself. Anakin, for better or for worse, knows that his choices will shape not just his destiny, but the destiny for the entire galaxy. Anakin and Obi-Wan are classic examples of the trial by fire approach. The war had tested them and honed their skills and forced them to adapt and evolve and grow. It was a crucible that shaped every aspect of Anakin's character development. His mind, his powers of the Force, his skills with the lightsaber, his character, his resolve, his mettle, and everything else. Just as fire from a furnace purifies and intensifies steel, so too did the Clone Wars refine Anakin's abilities, forging him from a hot-headed Padawan into a full-fledged Jedi Knight. We see just how much Obi-Wan and Anakin grew together as a duo when they faced Count Dooku in the final showdown on the Invisible Hand. The implications of this fight, of course, speak for themselves. Yes, Palpatine is quote-unquote captured, but more importantly, the outcome for this fight sealed the fate of Anakin Skywalker. Dooku and Sidious had planned this duel from the very beginning. Dooku would kill Obi-Wan but hold back against Skywalker and feint defeat so Palpatine could turn Anakin to the dark side. Dooku, going into this fight, had fought both of them multiple times before in the past, both in Attack of the Clones and in the Clone Wars. Anakin in particular displayed to Dooku just how much he had grown, where their last encounter pushed Dooku to his very limits. Dooku may have been the best duelist out of the three of them, but without question the hidden powers of the Chosen One was a wild card that he could not predict. The air crackled with anticipation and tension as the three warriors circled each other.
Quite simple, in the end. Isolate Skywalker, slaughter Kenobi. Beyond that, it would be merely a matter of spinning Skywalker up into enough of a frenzy to break through his Jedi restraint and reveal the infinite vista of Sith power. Lord Sidious would take it from there.
Then, in a flash, the fighting began. When Obi-Wan and Anakin faced Dooku in Episode 3, it's obvious how far their dynamic has evolved. They fought as one, perhaps giving even Obi-Wan flashbacks of how Qui-Gon and him faced down against Darth Maul all of those years ago. Every time Dooku parried one of Anakin's attacks, Obi-Wan was right there afterwards, the two striking in perfect sequence. Dooku dared not even try a strike. Wherever he retreated, someone was there to meet him and force him to go on the defensive. Dooku found himself having a sudden, unexpected, overpowering, and entirely distressing bad feeling about this. And a few times during the fight, Palpatine probably does some shady stuff by breaking down Obi-Wan's defenses so he's vulnerable to Dooku to basically force him to isolate Skywalker, which of course was the entire plan because the goal of this fight was to get Anakin to tap into the dark side. But what Dooku didn't realize was that Palpatine was playing him for a fool the entire time. Anakin gives into his rage, his anger, and taps into it, honing it as his weapon as he presses his advantage against Dooku. It is in these moments that Dooku already realizes he is dead. It's set in stone. Dooku's decades of combat experience are irrelevant. His mastery of swordplay is useless. Even his knowledge of the Force has become a joke. But for Anakin, in the fight, there is only terror. For a few moments, all of Anakin's emotions, doubts, insecurities, and fear most of all, have melted away in the flames of Anakin's rage. Now, Anakin's mind is as clear as a crystal bell. There's only one thing he must do: win. He decides that Dooku should lose the same hand he took. Decision is reality here. His blade moves simultaneously with his will, and blue fire vaporizes Black Corellian nanocell and disintegrates flesh and shears bone, and away falls a Sith Lord's lightsaber hand, trailing smoke that tastes of charred meat and burned hair. The hand falls with a bar of scarlet blaze still extending from its plastic death grip, and Anakin's heart sings for the fall of that red blade. He reaches out, and the Force catches it for him, and then Anakin takes Dooku's other hand as well. Dooku crumples to his knees, face blank, mouth slack, and his weapon whirls through the air to the victor's hand. Anakin finds his vision of the future happening right before his eyes. 2 blades at Count Dooku's throat.
Do it.
Anakin realizes that this isn't actually an order. That is, in fact, nothing more than what he's been waiting for his whole life. Permission. Count Dooku knows that he has been deceived not just today, but for many, many years. That he has never been the true apprentice, that he has never been the heir to the power of the Sith. He has only been a tool. He has existed only for this: to be the victim of Anakin Skywalker's first cold-blooded murder. First, but not, he knows, the last.
You did well, Anakin. He was too dangerous to be kept alive.
I shouldn't have done that. It's not the Jedi way.
Dooku had been murdered by him on purpose. Here, in the General's quarters, he had looked into the eyes of a living being and coldly decided to end his life. He could have chosen the right way. He could have chosen the Jedi way. But instead, he stared down at Dooku's severed head. He could never unchoose this choice. He could never take it back. Palpatine had lost perhaps one of the most skilled Force users in the entire galaxy, but as always, he had a plan. After they return to Coruscant, Anakin begins to have visions of Padme dying in childbirth. He had seen this before. His mother. He knew he could have saved his mother. But why couldn't he save her? He knew he could have. The Jedi held him back. But he was not going to make this mistake again. He will not lose Padme. Now, the power of precognition or danger sense is a pretty common ability that many Force users have. But Anakin is an exceptionally rare case of being able to have the power of foresight where you can actually see into the future. And for his entire life, he's been having visions of the future, being able to see his mother's death and now Padme's death. And through all of this, again, the Jedi will not help him. And Anakin can see things before they happen, and he knows this. But Obi-Wan says,
Dreams pass in time.
but do they actually? In Anakin's experience, it's an obvious no. Anakin, out of desperation, seeks counsel from Master Yoda, the wisest of all the Jedi, but Yoda offers him none.
Train yourself to let go of everything you fear to lose.
Anakin realized that Yoda was not going to be any help at all. The greatest sage of the Jedi Order had nothing better to offer him than pious babble about letting things pass out of his life. Like he hadn't heard that a million times already. Easy for him. Who had Yoda ever cared about? Really cared about? Of one thing Anakin was certain. The ancient master had never been in love. Or, if he had been, he would have known better than to expect Anakin to just fold his hands and close his eyes and settle in to meditate while what was left of Padme's life evaporated like the ghost mist of a dew in a Tatooine winter dawn. To Anakin, this is out of the question. He had the power, he knew he did, but at every single turn, he was paralyzed by the Order. Palpatine knows this, which is why in this deleted scene, Palpatine continues to sow the seeds of doubt in Anakin where he announced that he will be taking direct control of the Jedi Council from now on.
It's upsetting to me to see that the Council doesn't seem to fully appreciate your talents. Don't you wonder why you've been kept off the Council?
My time will come when I'm older and, I suppose, wiser.
Age is not a good measure of ability, Anakin. I think they see something in you they fear. They see your future, and they know your power will be too strong for them to control. They see you as a threat to their power.
The movie scene where Anakin is not given the rank of Master before the Council is great, but again, the novelization gives us more insight in Anakin's psyche. He remembered too well the first time he had entered this chamber, the first time he stood within a ring of Jedi Masters gathered to sit in judgment upon his fate.
Allow this appointment lightly. The Council does not. Disturbing is this move by Chancellor Palpatine.
Yoda's response made Anakin realize that the Jedi were more concerned with avoiding the oversight of the Senate than they were with winning the war.
You are on this council, but we do not grant you the rank of Master.
What?
It was a small word, a simple word, an instinctive recoil from words that felt like punches, like stun blasts exploding inside his brain that left his head ringing and the room spinning around him. But even to his own ears, the voice that came from his lips didn't sound like his own. It was deeper, darker, clipped and oiled, resonating from the depths of his heart. It didn't sound like him at all, and it smoked with fury. How dare you? How dare you? Anakin stood welded to the floor, motionless. He wasn't even truly aware he was speaking. It was as if someone else were using his mouth. Now, finally, he recognized the voice. It sounded like Dooku, but it was not Dooku's voice. It was the voice of Dooku's destroyer. No Jedi in this room can match my power. No Jedi in the galaxy. You think you can deny mastery to me?
Take a seat, young Skywalker.
Anakin matched his stare. Perhaps I'll take yours. After the meeting, Anakin is rightly angered. It breaks all precedent for him to be on the Council and not be a master.
The only reason the Council has approved your appointment is because the Chancellor trusts you.
Even his appointment to the Council was not about his accomplishments, his feats, his bravery, or skills or merits as a Jedi, but merely as a political tool to be used by the Council to spy on the Chancellor. He's been used, played like a fiddle, taken advantage of. He's just another slave.
They asked you to spy on me, didn't they?
Then he is tasked with spying on the Chancellor, his mentor, his friend, the closest thing he has to a father except for Obi-Wan. Even Ahsoka, who knows him better than almost anybody else in the galaxy, also points this out.
He's been instructed to observe the Chancellor and report his findings.
Observe? You mean spy? The Chancellor has been a great friend and mentor to Anakin. I can't imagine he is happy about this.
As the viewer, we of course know that Palpatine is the Sith Lord, but the Jedi Council does not know that. The Council is asking Anakin to spy on Palpatine not because they think he's the Sith Lord, but because they view Palpatine as a threat to the Jedi's political influence in the Senate. Even after his assignment, even after his appointment, in spite of everything he has done for the Republic, the Council does not trust him. Windu says this outright, and Yoda insinuates this by saying the prophecy could be wrong, and that Anakin's not the chosen one at all. Now, as crazy as it might sound, Palpatine is actually telling the truth for almost the entirety of this monologue with Anakin. The Jedi do want control of the Republic, the Jedi don't trust Anakin, and the Jedi and the Sith are far more alike than they would care to admit.
Evil is a label we all put on those who threaten us, isn't it? Yet the Sith and the Jedi are similar in almost every way, including their quest for greater power.
Palpatine makes Anakin question the very concept of good and evil. Good and evil are points of views, they're relative, they're social constructs made by one side to discredit the other. Anakin realizes that everything he's been taught about the Sith may very well be a lie. The weight of Palpatine's words reverberate through the air. It speaks to the heart of the nature of power. Jedi and Sith alike pined for it. And more importantly, at this point, Anakin is hopeless. He's been having visions of his wife dying in childbirth. He knows it will happen and he's desperate. And then, in a shocking turn of events, Palpatine gives him an out.
He had such a knowledge of the dark side, he could even keep the ones he cared about from dying.
Is it possible to learn this power?
Not from a Jedi.
One of the major recurring themes that we see with Anakin throughout the prequel era, which I think played a huge factor in his turn to the dark side, is the theme of trust. As I said before, the Council and the Jedi Order never fully trusted Anakin, and to Anakin, people like Mace Windu made that abundantly clear.
Anakin did not take to his new assignment with much enthusiasm.
It's very dangerous putting them together. I don't think the boy can handle it. I don't trust him.
Obi-Wan and the Council don't trust me.
They don't trust you, Anakin.
But Palpatine at every opportunity both exploited this by reminding Anakin that the Jedi never trusted him, and at the same time emphasized that he trusted Anakin, even if no one else did.
I hope you trust me, Anakin.
Of course.
I need your help, son. Anakin, I'm appointing you to be my personal representative on the Jedi Council.
Me? A master?
Now that the threat has passed, I think Anakin has all the security I need.
Lied to me. How many other lies have I been told by the Council? And how do you know that you even have the whole truth?
One of the things I love about the extended version of Revenge of the Sith that I was saddened to not see in the theatrical cut is the political subplot with Padme.
We have decided to do what we can to stop it. Senator Mon Mothma and I are putting together an organization...
Say no more, Senator, I understand. At this point, some things are better left unsaid.
That means those closest to you, even family. No one can be told.
Agreed.
Their sincerity is to be admired, although I sense there is more to their request than they're telling us. Senator Amidala is hiding something. I can see it in her eyes. I'm surprised your Jedi insights are not more sensitive to such things.
I simply don't sense betrayal in Senator Amidala.
But you don't seem to want to admit it. There is much conflict in you, Anakin.
To add on to this even further, this obviously did not make the final cut of the movie, but there was a subplot idea where Palpatine would lead Anakin to believe that Padme was actually having an affair with Obi-Wan. If this love triangle subplot actually stayed in the movie, it would provide further context behind why Anakin was asking Padme if Obi-Wan had been here in the apartment before in the movie, but it also would culminate in his outrage at Mustafar when he saw Obi-Wan come off of Padme's ship.
You will not take her from me!
Your anger and your lust for power have already done that.
But I digress. Going back to the movie, Obi-Wan goes to Utapau to confront General Grievous, leaving Anakin on Coruscant, and when Mace tells Anakin to inform the Chancellor of this, Anakin, of course, obeys. And as usual, the novelization has more to this than what we see in the movie, but the most important bit is when Palpatine insinuates that even if General Grievous is defeated, the Jedi will still strike to have Palpatine and the other senators who support him arrested.
Grievous is no longer the real enemy. Even the Clone Wars themselves are now only a distraction. The Council is about to make its move. If we don't stop them by this time tomorrow, the Jedi may very well have taken over the Republic.
But sir, please. You can't possibly believe that.
Anakin, I know. I will be the first to be arrested, the first to be executed. But I will be far from the last. This is far beyond any personal dispute between me and the members of the Council. This is a plot generations in the making. A plot to take over the Republic itself.
And then Palpatine plays in Anakin's biggest insecurity: trust.
I have kept the secret of your marriage all these years. The slaughter at the Tusken camp you shared with me. I was there when you executed Count Dooku. And I know where you got the power to defeat him. You see, you have never needed to pretend with me, the way you must with your Jedi comrades. Do you understand that you need never hide anything from me? That I accept you exactly as you are?
And then Palpatine plays a bit of a rhetorical game, telling him to look anywhere in the city and think of anything he wants. Anakin lists off things as trying to prod his limits, even asking for a star system, but Palpatine never refuses him. It is here that Anakin realizes he can have anything he wants. He has the power. And then, at last, in a rather reckless move by Palpatine, he puts everything on the line.
My mentor taught me everything about the Force, even the nature of the dark side.
There's a palpable tension in the air. There is a tremble in Palpatine's voice. Anakin's power begins to brew as he puts the pieces together in his mind, and it's a power so great that he even gives life to Palpatine pause. There lies a flicker of doubt, a fear of rejection, betrayal, of everything he's worked so tirelessly to achieve, crumbling to dust before his eyes. With bated breath, Palpatine continues, slowing his approach, knowing that perhaps one wrong move, one mistake, will result in the loss of everything. But Anakin says nothing. The fact that Anakin doesn't immediately strike is perhaps a silent signal for Palpatine to be able to continue.
Only through me can you achieve a power greater than any Jedi. Learn to know the dark side of the Force, and you will be able to save your wife
from certain death.
The gears turn in his mind with this belief. His entire world turns upside down. The man he loved, the man he once called his friend, the last man in the entire galaxy he thought he could trust, had been lying to him this entire time since the first day they met.
What did you say?
Use my knowledge, I beg you. You're the Sith Lord.
Anakin ignites his lightsaber, and as his accusation hangs in the air, you actually see Palpatine almost reach for his lightsaber.
I am also your friend. I am also the man who has always been here for you. I am the man you have never needed to lie to. I am the man who wants nothing from you but that you follow your conscience.
Every fiber of Anakin's being is telling him to kill Palpatine. All of his teachings, all of his training, 1,000 years of Jedi telling him to kill him. End this once and for all. Stop the scourge of the Sith. Fulfill his destiny as the Chosen One. Bring balance to the Force. And yet, Anakin's fortitude wavered. He realized that if Palpatine died, if he killed him right here, his knowledge would die with him. And if he dies, Padme dies.
Are you going to kill me?
I would certainly like to.
I know you would. I can feel your anger. It gives you focus, makes you stronger.
Darth Sidious speaks with an almost malevolent satisfaction, fueled by the dark side, as if he's slowly unlocking the floodgates. Anakin watches as Sidious's true nature is made plain for him to see. He feels it in the air. This power, it's greater than anything he had felt in any Force user, perhaps even Master Yoda. This power, and it could all be his? Is this the power he needs to save Padme?
I'm going to turn you over to the Jedi Council.
Of course, you should. But you're not sure of their intentions, are you?
I will quickly discover the truth of all this.
You have great wisdom, Anakin. Know the power of the dark side. Power to save Padme.
In a panic, Anakin runs to Master Windu, who if you actually pay attention, Windu is already going to go see the Chancellor with 3 other Jedi Masters behind him. Palpatine was right. Master Windu saying they were going to go see how he reacts to Grievous dying is actually a pretense. Mace intended to use them as a threat against Palpatine to submit and relinquish his powers. But Anakin, still clinging to the desire to do the right thing, tells Master Windu.
I think Chancellor Palpatine is a Sith Lord.
A Sith Lord?
Yes, the one we've been looking for.
How do you know this?
He knows the ways of the Force. He's been trained to use the dark side.
Are you sure?
Absolutely.
Never before had the words of Darth Maul rang more true than they did at that very moment.
With your help, the Jedi can stop Sidious before it's too late.
Too late? For what? The Republic to fall? It already has, and you just can't see it. There is no justice, no law, no order, except for the one that will replace it.
If the Jedi destroy me, any chance of saving her will be lost.
As Anakin stands alone in the dimly lit Jedi Council chambers, the weight of the galaxy bears down on his shoulders. His fingers tighten into fists, his breath shallow as the war between duty and desire rages within him. The Jedi, his so-called family, his friends, everything he has ever known since he was a boy, have only ever used him, and yet, across the city, the one man who has offered him guidance, power, friendship, and trust, and the promise of saving Padme's life is now in danger because of him. His mind races. Palpatine said that the Jedi would betray him, and now, watching the sun dip on the Coruscant skyline, Anakin realizes that he must make a choice, and this choice will define him forever. The storm is about to break, and when it does, nothing will ever be the same.
Peace is a lie. There is only passion. Through passion, I gain strength. Through strength, I gain power. Through power, I gain victory. Through victory, my chains are broken. The Force shall free me.